guys, welcome to Pathway to Progress. We use this podcast to shine a light on amazing people who exemplify a caring nature, an intelligence, emotional intelligence, the ability to heal and help other people in their world. And they are just out there doing it on a daily basis. And we want you to know who they are. So today we have Tasha Soto, and we're going to talk with her today and just learn more about her business and the great
Hi
work that she's
guys.
doing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
I
Welcome
appreciate it.
aboard, Tasha. We're so excited
Good
to
to be
have
here.
you
Thank you.
here. Awesome. So we've got a series of questions that we thought that would be great to ask you because our audience is dying to hear some of the things that you're seeing in your space and in the field that you move in. So, Vaughn, I'll let you go ahead and get started. I know you were itching at asking Tasha a few questions as well. So.
Hey, Tasha, so tell me more about the field that you're in and why you got interested in it and what brought you to
Sure, I'll
doing
be
the
glad
work
to
that you
answer
do
that.
at our community.
So basically, I'm a naturopathic practitioner. I got in the field like many other people that do what I do get into it because I hit a block. I sort of would say I hit the wall for about 2 years. Um, I was experiencing symptoms that had no answer. I got myriads of tests done, and the doctor would always tell me, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay." Finally, it took me kind of self diagnosing myself from the little bit of naturals that I knew from my upbringing, growing up on an island where a lot of the remedies happen to be herbal remedies or anything natural that you could think of. So I made a visit back home to PR and I went to an iridologist that I had seen before. And he made some observations that there might be something going on with my endocrine system and that I had spinal issues. And I knew that that was true because years before I had had a surgery on my back. When I got back, I found a naturopathic doctor in the area and I went to her and I felt seen, I felt heard. And within 15 minutes of the conversation, she says, "Have they ever looked at your thyroid?" And I told her, no, they haven't. And she says, "Well, I think you have thyroid disease." So I was like, well, okay. After that, she told me you might have some heavy metal poisonings going on from some of the symptoms you're having. I definitely had horrible gut issues, but that can happen when you have thyroid issues. And now I know that it can also happen when you have heavy metals in your system. So we did some testing, and sure enough, she had treated people enough with my symptoms. So, with me sitting down with her 15 minutes, I realized, wait a minute, there's something here. And me being the type of person that I am, that when I learn something, it's like I have to learn all about it. I'm just not going to graze the surface. So, as I was on my healing journey, I decided to change careers. So 19 years and as an insurance agent, I got out of that field and started studying anything I could get my hands on that was going to teach me how to keep curing myself and how to help others. Because I knew that if it happened to me, I consider myself a person who's, oh, pretty average on my understanding of things. And I felt, oh my gosh, if this happened to me, how many other people are not getting answers or getting misdiagnosed because all they wanted to do was put me on anxiety medicine and depression. And I knew I was not anxious or depressed. I was stressed because of work, but not anxious and depressed. So that's what triggered my whole journey.
So a couple of questions off of that statement. So were your thyroid levels
My
within the
regular
normal
the
range?
TSH was. But what most doctors are not pulling are full thyroid labs, including a reverse T3 and reverse T4, and antibodies also. Because a lot of times those are overlooked, either because the insurance company doesn't want to pay to have those. I feel like thyroid testing has to be reevaluated on a whole because what might be normal for me might be low for you. So I really feel that there's a lot of people that have underactive thyroids and they just go under the radar because it's right there borderline with what's supposed to be normal.
I agree. And would you say, listening to your clients, that the majority of the time it's women who get poo-pooed by the doctor and asked if they
You
would
have
need
no idea.
anxiety medications?
I think that that is the one medication that they use when they don't know what's going on with the patient. And obviously, let's put ourselves in the patient's situation. If
Hmm.
I am feeling a certain kind of way and I haven't gotten answers, yeah, I do have anxiety. And I might be demonstrating that to the doctor. Yeah, I do seem anxious because I'm anxious to know what's wrong with me. So I could understand where that could kind of get diagnosed,
Sure.
but I think that a whole lot of other factors have to get looked at too to make you know that as the final, I would say, as the final prescription, that that's what's
Sure.
needed.
Tasha, you mentioned something that immediately caught my attention, and I know it caught Vaughn's attention too, because I saw him look at his piece of paper and start writing down. Right? I don't. I'm almost positive that he may have taken a note about this. You said that what you felt immediately was that you were seen and you were heard. And I couldn't agree with you more, right? I feel like sometimes you go to the doctor, and look, I'm not knocking in any way, shape, or form traditional medicine as we know it, right? But the reality is that you very rarely get asked, well, tell me what you're feeding yourself. What are you consuming? There's just so many things that it seems like they get overlooked in the effort to just prescribe something for you, right? Without even finding out what the root cause of the challenge is, rather than just attacking the symptoms that you're demonstrating. So I heard that immediately. You said you felt seen and you felt heard. And I also caught that you mentioned on several different occasions, you mentioned stress. So I've got a ton of questions in regards to that. But before I get into that, based on what you've seen and the trends that you're seeing in the customers and the patients that are coming to see you, what is the number one root
I would
cause
say it's
of illness
toxicity
today?
and toxic stress. But maybe when I say toxic stress, I don't mean it like the way most people understand it. I mean it in the actual sense of the toxins that we're being bombarded with, and it's everywhere. I think our poor bodies are overloaded.
Okay.
So it's like a domino effect. Our bodies have so many stressors going at it every day that eventually it does become stress within the mind and body.
What would you say? And Vaughn, interrupt me because I'll take over if you let me. Well, what would you say, Tasha, was a surprising place where you found that we are being bombarded with toxins that you would perhaps not even think that that's a source of
Well,
toxicity?
obviously, I'm going to go with herbicides and pesticides. And I'm also going to go with the trans fats that most people don't realize are products when we go out to eat are being cooked with. I mean,
Yeah.
even in the house, they might be brought in because they're inside of, unless you're buying specifically non GMO, grain free, this, and that, we're being exposed to a lot of things that we were just not exposed to 30 years ago. I would say that that's the number one way that it comes in. I mean, I could get into a bunch of other stuff too, like our atmosphere
Yeah,
is
I
suffering, our air quality is not as good, even though we might be a little lucky to be here in North Carolina compared to other states. I would say our water is not what it used to. Our soil is depleted. So it's like one thing is just aggravating the other. And another thing that I've thought of often was maybe doctors
hmm.
don't ask this
So it's a
question
domino effect.
anymore because seriously, it probably wasn't a question that, begged to be questioned before when somebody walked into your practice about your nutrition because people ate healthier. But since the Industrial Revolution, our diet has gone way down. So I think that things need to change.
Tasha, I can tell you as a nurse in ambulatory clinics and in the hospital, physicians have very little training on nutrition. They actually refer to nutritionists because they are so inept at understanding how food affects you. Your understanding of food and toxins and the things that your body's absorbing, ingesting is invaluable because it isn't being addressed in the doctor's offices. And there is really just not enough nutritionists to help deal with the need. And food is not considered always medicine. Food, nutrition, and water is not always
Yeah, I
considered
think the
medicine
one of the
as it is in
founding
your world.
fathers of
Yeah.
holistic, which was Hippocrates, he said it: "Let food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." Because really, that's where it all starts. It's just we've been fed that this pill's gonna cure it, but is that pill curing it? That pill is subsiding the symptom of the dis-ease. And if we look at the root of the word dis-ease, it just means we stop being at ease. What's causing me to not be at ease? That's the first question that you have to ask. So, like on some of my intake forms, that's what it'll say, like, have you
Yes.
suffered trauma? Unfortunately, I get a lot of people who put no there. But then in the transcourse of conversation, what I might consider trauma, they might not consider trauma. So, there's big T trauma and then there's little trauma. So everything's just intertwined because if
Hmm.
we have certain other things going on in our body, we're not going to be able to absorb nutrition. If a person is in fight or flight, their body, their vagus nerve is going to be like this. What happens when you're like this? Your stomach freezes up. So therefore, we're not going to be able to absorb the little bit that we're taking in that's actually sustaining our life.
That makes total sense.
Absolutely.
What kind of trends are you seeing out there, and what kind of things at your practice are you putting in place to help your patients or your customers, or the people that come to see you, to help them kind of offset some
So
of
I would
those
say the
those
most thing
illnesses and
that
some of those
we
things that they're
have
coming in
patients come for is
describing
to
to you.
help detox. I think a lot of people are realizing that they have something
Okay.
going on because I want to say probably 8 out of 10 people who walk in have gas, bloating, indigestion. They feel like they're sluggish. And, what we try to do is verse them on how to clean those detox organs. Because unfortunately, we've also lost what ancient cultures had under their reservoir, which was to detox. When you look back at the ancient Egyptians, they were detoxing. The ancient Sumerians were detoxing, which was before them. So when you start looking back, you have to start asking yourself, if these people were exposed to less than what we're exposed to nowadays, but yet they knew that it was good to cleanse, it was good to fast for a certain amount of period, depending, why you're doing it.
Mm.
um Probably years ago, they probably did had no idea that when a person fasts, you're going after the apoptic cells. But now we know that because science has shown us, just what the benefits of that is. So I would say
Mhm.
8 out of 10 people who come in, they come in because they're either having digestive issues, which could be triggered by not only the food, but also by mental stress, psychological stress, physical stress. So we always, even if it's just a foot detox that I'm doing, either by the ions or radio frequency, I always try to sit with the person and tell them, like, we're bombarded. You need to make sure you're cleaning yourself out. Do a cleanse, do a parasite cleanse. I mean, we used to get them done when we were children. Why did that stop? There's all questions that we try to make clients aware of.
Hmm.
Obviously, nutrition falls into it
So
because we'll
so
look at
so
their diet and be like, what's high now needs to be low, and what's low now needs to be high. You need to, flip it. So that's what we mostly. So
so are those some of the
we do
services that you
perform
provide to
colon
our
hydrotherapy. I would say that that's probably 60% of what we do, or it could even be more than that. And sometimes we'll have people come in for another service, but they'll end up getting that one because they either decide they're going to do a liver or a gallbladder cleanse themselves. And they'll have us kick it off by doing a colonic to get out all the crud first. That way they have a nice clean slate to start on. We do terahertz therapy, we have radio frequency therapy. Um, There's other holistic therapies that we do as well. We have a scanner that we're able to scan it. You think about it sort of like you have your own IP address as Santos and Vaughn. So I zoom in on your IP address with certain information you give me. I get a voice recording, and it's a product by Solix. It's called AO Scan. And when I'm telling you that this is dead on, it's dead on. And this program is able to pick up past and present of things that you might have going on, and it picks up on emotions. And most people that get this done, when they see the emotions, they're like, oh my God, that's me. So then it's like you go into, well, why you want to process those emotions and not hold on to them. It's definitely a mind, body, spirit type of thing that we have going on, because one doesn't work without the other.
What was the question you were going to ask, Vaughn?
So when you find that people have dealing with emotional stress and the emotional fatigue, do you refer to other
Yeah, so
folks,
you
or
know, I
how
also
are
am a
you helping them
practitioner of
manage that?
EFT. I will show them the way, and I'll also show them, hey, look, go on YouTube, follow this person. Um, a lot of times I'll tell people look into EMDR therapy, and I'll make a referral for that. I'll tell them, look, sounds to me like your vagus nerve, you're not in sympathetic. You need to go ahead and work on that. I'll refer them to somebody who I know that clears that out, helps them work through that, some kind of somatic work. So yes, I do referrals for a lot of other things, but mainly I try to get the people to help themselves.
Great. That's great. It's a joy to know that there are people like you wanting to serve others so that they're not in pain and that they're not suffering and having a poor quality of life, especially women, as we touched on earlier, where they are not getting the love, the care, the understanding, and they're not being heard and listened to as well, like you expressed. So I'm glad there's somebody like you out there for my wife, my children, my daughters, Santos's daughters, just as an advocate for
Thank
people in
you,
our
and I'm glad
communities.
that
We are blessed by you.
cutting edge people like you guys that want to bring light to this topic. It's really great that you guys are taking out of your time to bring this to the masses. I think that this is something that's evolving, and I believe that the future of medicine is going to be energetic. Once everybody realizes that we're energetic beings, and just like a battery dies and it gets charged and it comes back, we're the same way. We have energy flowing through us that could get stuck. And I look forward to the day where a person will realize that they could go outside and help themselves by just stepping on the ground and it's free. I look forward to the day when a person realizes that even if they worry about it, it's not going to change the outcome. To breathe. Half of us are not breathing correctly. I catch myself mouth breathing sometimes, and it's so bad. I remember my great grandmother would do like this to me, and I would say, why does this woman do this? And maybe like 2 years ago, I realized how bad mouth breathing is for you. How did this woman know this when she was very uneducated? So, education is not only that I went to school and I studied for years to do what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Education is getting back to human nature and getting back to be human beings, not human doings. Because I feel like we all need to get back there.
Great.
I'm writing that one down.
Do
Not human. What was it? We have to be human beings, not human doings. I like that. I'm writing that one down. It's going on my whiteboard. And I might take this last portion and I might move it around a little bit because I think that this is a great way to close out. and I felt like I was closing out a little bit before, so I'll just kind of move these things around. Anything else, Tasha, that you want us to ask you that you feel we could have asked, or there's something, another
Mm,
message or something else that you want to share?
I should bring up the fact about me doing the teacher training for colonics. If anybody's interested in learning it.
Sure. I mean, why not? You know what we could do is we could record a update podcast, and like maybe at the beginning of the year or
Okay.
toward the end of the year. All right. Anything else, Vaughn, that you think?
No, I think that's a great suggestion. I was going to suggest the same thing. We just follow up and do it, like you said, an update on your care. That would be great.
Okay. All right. Let's do that then. All right, guys. Well, I think that we stop this recording. All right. Perfect. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff. So you're educating people so that they don't have to become 100% dependent on seeing you every week, but that they can start educating themselves and start learning their own body and become in tune with their own body, so that they can start taking care of themselves, which is one of the things that we're missing today. So Tasha, if our audience wants to follow you, get to know you, maybe go on your website, what give us some of your contact information that they'll be able to reach out to you and kind of follow what you're doing. I know you provide tons of great content on social media. So where can we follow you at?
SalutNaturalWellnessCenter.com or toyahealth.hydrotherapy.com. That's our section that specializes in mostly the colon hydrotherapy along with other detox packages. I'm on social media. You can find Salute on TikTok. It's under Salute Natural Wellness on Facebook as well, and Instagram.
Okay, awesome. We will include all of those handles on screen as well as in our messaging. What about a
Sure.
phone
We're in
number
North
and
Raleigh.
your
The
address or
address
the
is
location where you're currently
8364
practicing
Six
at?
Forks Road, Suite 101, Raleigh. The phone number 919-803-7137. That's our main number.
Perfect. And Tasha, I have to tell everyone, right? And full disclosure, full transparency. I happen to know Tasha very well. Tasha and I have known each other. Let's see. I'm 51 years old, so I've known Tasha for 51 years. I happen to be Tasha's cousin. I happen to have the honor to be Tasha's cousin. I grew up with her. I've watched her develop and progress throughout the years, and I can't tell you how proud I am of what you've done and what you've become, and the kind of service that you provide in the community. Because at the end of the day, I know that you're not after the money. You're really after creating a difference and creating an impact in our community of self education and helping people really understand that it's not just medicine, right? It's not just the physical well-being. There is a holistic approach to it, which includes your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and your spiritual well-being. And without those three things, you cannot be a whole. So again, I'm incredibly proud of you and incredibly honored that I get to have you as our guest on our podcast. And
Sounds good.
I'll
Thank
let
you.
Vaughn close this off.
Well, thank you. you, you're welcome. It's a joy to know that there are people like you wanting to serve others so that they're not in pain and that they're not suffering and having a poor quality of life, especially women, as we touched on earlier, where they are not getting the love, the care, the understanding, and they're not being heard and listened to as well, like you expressed. So I'm glad there's somebody like you out there for my wife, my children, my daughters, Santos's daughters, just as an
Oh,
advocate for
thank
people
you.
in our
And I'm
community.
glad that
So
there's
we are blessed by you.
cutting edge people like you
Thank you, Tasha.
guys that
Any
want
special?
to bring light to this topic. It's really great that you guys are taking out of your time to bring this to the masses. I think that this is something that's evolving, and I believe that the future of medicine is going to be energetic. Once everybody realizes that we're energetic beings, and just like a battery dies and it gets charged and it comes back, we're the same way. We have energy flowing through us that could get stuck. And I look forward to the day where a person will realize that they could go outside and help themselves by just stepping on the ground and it's free. I look forward to the day when a person realizes that even if they worry about it, it's not going to change the outcome. To breathe. Half of us are not breathing correctly. I catch myself mouth breathing sometimes, and it's so bad. I remember my great grandmother would do like this to me, and I would say, "Why does this woman do this?" And maybe like 2 years ago, I realized how bad mouth breathing is for you. How did this woman know this when she was very uneducated? So, education is not only that I went to school and I studied for years to do what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Education is getting back to human nature and getting back to be human beings, not human doings. Because I feel like we all need to get back there.
Great.
I'm writing that one down.
Doings.
Not human.
Human
What was
beings.
it? We have to be human beings, not human doings. I like that. I'm writing that one down. It's going on my whiteboard. And
Them out though. That's
yep. But the great thing is this platform allows you to take all those things out. So it's actually really really cool. I'm having a lot of
Right?
fun with it now that
yeah.
I'm messing with it more. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tasha. I'll let you. I know that you were trying to get some rest. I'll let you get take care, Vaughn. I'll come see you in a little bit. Bye bye.
Bye.